We generated over $23 million with webinars in 2025 and scaled every single one of our internal clients to $1 million per month only running webinars. So here's 4 things that we learned that helped us consistently get above 30% show rates when running a webinar to cold traffic. Most people float in the 15 to 25% range on show rates with webinars. So they think, oh, I have to send more emails. Or they think it's the ad platform's fault. Or they say things like, free webinars don't work as good as they used to. All of those things are wrong. And by the end of this video, even if you implement just one of the things that I'm going to walk you through, you'll see a measurable lift on your show rate and cash collected almost immediately. So let's get into it. Number 1, your ad account setup really matters. The number 1 mistake I see people make when running webinar funnels actually starts within your ad account, because most people are running a standard lead event to drive signups to a free webinar. And that might sound logical until you realize what you're actually training the algorithm to do. You see, a lead is just someone who opts in to your webinar. A lead is not someone who shows up. A lead is not someone who books a call. And a lead is not someone who buys. So when you're optimizing your campaign for leads, you're literally telling the platform, go find me the cheapest people willing to click and opt in. Not the most serious, not the highest intent, just the easy ones. And then you're sitting there wondering, I wonder why my show rates suck. Not to mention, if you are running standard direct response ads to a free webinar, these are typically some of the lowest engagement leads that you can bring into your funnel. That's why a lot of people see low engagement on their front end marketing like email and SMS with webinar funnels specifically. So here's what we do instead. Instead of telling the ad platform, hey, go find me the cheapest leads, we optimize our campaigns for scheduled events. That's because for the webinars that we run for our clients, we see the most success when we pitch and have the leads book a call to our sales team. And then the sales team jumps on the call and sells them a high ticket product or service ranging from $5,000 to $15,000. We've even had higher ticket buyers come through some of our clients' funnels who offer it, but it's not really that common. Typically 5,000 to 15,000 is our sweet spot in terms of average sales price for a free webinar funnel. And since these leads are so warm and consume so much content after sitting through a 120-minute live webinar, our close rates on qualified applications are super high. So with all of that context in mind, you now know that if you can focus on getting people to not only show up, but to book a call, you'll be confident that if you only optimize for people to book calls, based on your sales team performance and performance of the presenter on the actual webinar, there's a high likelihood that that lead will convert on the sales call. And here's why this all matters, because every ad platform works the same way. You get what you ask for. If you ask for leads, you get leads. If you ask for schedules, you get people who schedule calls. So instead of running a webinar and telling the algorithm, find me opt-ins, we tell it, find me people who are not only going to show up, but find me people who are going to book a call. The difference in lead quality is almost immediate. And this change alone can not only improve your show rates, but it will also lower your cost per call. And as a result of that, even lower your cost per acquisition. So one of our newest partners who started working with us in July of 2025, they had tried running webinars on their own, but they couldn't get their show rates past 18% on cold traffic. And when I got in there and switched them from a lead event to a scheduled event, the first webinar they did after that had a 30% plus show rate. And actually every other metric improved with that. Their retention was higher and so was their conversion at the pitch. So for the same amount of money they were spending before, we almost doubled their show rate and cut their cost per call in half. So then we took this one step further. We launched a sales campaign that was optimized for purchases. Now the ad platform was finding us people most likely to buy from us. And I don't have an actual number I can share with you on how that affected our show rate, but I can tell you that our return on ad spend with purchase campaigns was above a 4. So all of that to say, when we ditched lead events and trained our ad platform to optimize for further down the funnel events, the show rates from cold traffic to a free webinar drastically improved, alongside the lead quality and other important metrics that we track on both the sales and the marketing side. Will your cost per lead increase as a result of switching from a lead event to a schedule event? Most likely, but do not panic. We did $1.97 million cash collected with one of our clients in August of 2025 with an average lead cost of $30. And our ROAS was still above a 4. So in order for this to actually work, you must detach yourself from the idea of getting your lead cost down and focus more so on getting your cost per qualified call down. Then you can judge your campaigns based on the performance of that specific objective. Too many people are worried about cost per lead, but for our clients, we just view that as a vanity metric. Number 2, your webinar frequency matters. Most people run webinars once per week. Some people run them once per month. And while this can work, if you've made it this far into the video, I'm just going to assume that what you're currently doing isn't working. And so one of the biggest revenue-driven actions that we made in the last 12 months was actually switching to 2 times per week live webinars. We run webinars on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. We even have one client who now does 3 times per week with a hybrid style. And the show rates are even higher than 40%, almost reaching 50%. This is because naturally excitement decays over time. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand, but something that most people overlook is that if you increase the frequency of your webinars, your competitors don't get to steal your leads. Because what you must understand is that if somebody sees your ads, they're definitely getting your competitors' ads as well. And if their webinar is tomorrow and yours isn't until the end of the week, or even worse, the end of the month, there's a higher chance that they join your competitor's webinar. And it's a lose-lose scenario for you. If they love what they hear, they'll end up becoming a customer for somebody else. And if they hated the webinar, and whoever they listened to left a bad impression on them, well, then they'll probably just write you off completely as well. You'll just be guilty by association. You see, people talk about speed and execution and how important that is in business, and it's the same concept here. If you reach your market faster at a higher frequency than your competitors, you will have an unfair advantage over your competition. And this one is really that simple. Our clients that went from 1 time per week to 2 times per week scaled faster and made more money for their business as a result. So now you have your ad account set up, it's dialed in, and you're doing 2 webinars per week, but there's still 2 more things that you are missing. Really quick, if you're a business owner that's watching this video and maybe you're stuck at a particular revenue ceiling, or maybe you're just interested in learning how webinar funnels can help scale your business faster and more profitably. Last year, we did over $23 million in cash collected with just 3 internal partners using these exact systems. And if you use the link in the description, you can book a call with me directly and we can go over the exact scaling plans that we use for our clients so that we can help implement them for you to scale your business faster. Number 3, email strategy is crucial. Look, I believe most webinar email sequences are way too aggressive. 10 emails, 20 emails, 30 emails, we tried everything. And all it did was ruin our sending reputation, because what we notice is that in general, when you're offering a free live webinar, leads that tend to come through this funnel have a lot lower engagement ranking than something like a VSL call funnel, for example. So we had to shift our philosophy. Email has one job, and that is to get them to show up, and that is it. We have one confirmation email that goes out right when the lead registers. And the main purpose of that email is to congratulate them on registering, to remind them of the date and the time, and to send them their personal meeting link to join the webinar. But most importantly, the main purpose of this email is to try and get a response. Once we get a response from engaged leads, then we have a team member who is actively monitoring the inbox throughout the day. And their job is to manually send content and build rapport with warm and engaged leads. If a lead doesn't respond, then we don't spam them and ruin our sending reputation. And once we shifted from sending emails like a business and switched to sending a more personalized white glove feel style of email, our email deliverability got way better and we started landing in primary inboxes. And so as a result of that, our show rates increased dramatically. Now, the second thing we changed was the type of emails that we were sending to leads pre-webinar. Our webinar automation is really simple. They get 1 email when they opt in, and they get 1 email on the morning of the webinar. They get an email an hour before the webinar, and then they get an email when we actually go live. It's really simple. Again, we went from sending 15 to 20 emails within a 72-hour window down to automating only 4 mandatory emails that go out to all leads before the webinar. And the style of email that we're sending is really important. It's called transactional style plain text emails. No images or fancy designs. We're very simple and direct with the copy. So here's an example of an email that we'll send out when the webinar is starting. We'll say, hey, contact name, your training, how to increase your webinar show rates is starting right now with the link to join. Then under that, it'll just say, over the last 12 months, we've helped our clients average a 30% plus show rate on cold traffic. Join your meeting with us now. These types of emails are most likely to be seen as transactional from email providers, which gives you a better chance to land inside of that primary inbox. Therefore, increasing the likelihood that somebody sees the email and clicks on it in time to join the webinar. If you put too many links or too many images, there's a good chance that you'll land in spam or junk. And so you'll see here's an example of a client where they got a 60% open rate and a 10% click-through rate on a going live webinar reminder. And the show rate on this webinar specifically was 48%. Some more important things I must add to this in terms of how you're actually setting up your email sending is you're gonna wanna make sure that you're sending from a dedicated sending domain if you're not already. Make sure that you have a dedicated sending IP address to the domain, and then make sure that you're verifying every email address before sending emails out, doing things like removing hard bounces and using a separate domain for cold retargeting lists. We use GoHighLevel, and there's a toggle on the agency view that can actually enable you to verify every email address before sending it. If you're using a different CRM, I'm sure there's ways to do this too. You can just YouTube it after this video. And lastly, something that's really important for email deliverability is just your segmentation. You're gonna wanna make sure that you're keeping it clean. And if you do all of these things, you'll have open rates on email that are above 40%, and you'll see your show rates skyrocket as a result from it. Number 4, your SMS strategy plays a big role. If you wanna use SMS to increase your show rates, SMS needs to have 2 jobs. It needs to build rapport just like we do with email, and it needs to support email deliverability. When somebody opts in, they get a confirmation text, and it will look something like this. Hey, John, you're officially registered for the upcoming live training on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I sent you an email with important information regarding the upcoming event. Can you make sure that you got it? So we're pointing them to the email, and then 5 minutes later, we trigger a second automated message that reads something like this. Hey, really quick. Can you send me over a yes if you can commit to being at the live training on time? Let me know if you got the email that I sent over as well. So what this message does is it gets commitment, and we're pointing them to their email inbox. Typically, people will respond yes to both. They'll let us know that they see the email and that they can make it on time. But sometimes we get leads who just can't find the email at first. And just like we do with email, we have real people that are monitoring these conversations. So we help them find the email if it didn't land inside their primary inbox. And then we show them how to drag emails out of their spam or promotions into their primary inbox for future emails that we're going to be sending them before the webinar. And again, just like we do with email, we actually have real conversations with people and build rapport on the front end. Something really important to notice is that automation is what gets us the response, but a real person must continue the conversation and build rapport. We can send them content, we can ask them questions, we can raise their awareness and lower their suspicions, increasing their confidence and likeliness of our business. And it just feels way more white glove. After those initial texts go out, this is the automated text sequence that works for us. We send a message 1 day before the webinar. It'll say something like, hey, lead name, do you have any questions for me before the live training tomorrow? Just a reminder, we're starting at 7 p.m. Eastern sharp. And once again, we have a real person that's responding to any questions that people have before the webinar. And then we're still sending them content, and we can answer in plain text, videos, or voice messages. And so the biggest lesson here is that as long as you aren't a big, boring business and you act like a real helpful human, your audience will become more aware and more excited to join your webinar. On the webinar day, we send an SMS that goes out early in the morning, typically around 8 or 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then we wait until about 25 or 30 minutes before the webinar starts to send another one. And then we have our going live reminder that goes out about 10 minutes before the start of the actual webinar. But lastly, we send an SMS that goes out 10 to 15 minutes into the webinar as a last minute urgency reminder. And we say something like, hey, the webinar started. Are you in there? Let me know if you had any trouble joining. There's actually a good amount of people that respond to this message saying that they need help joining or they're having trouble joining. So we have somebody that's actively monitoring and helping people get into the webinar 10 to 15 minutes into it. And look, if you made it this far into the video and you want my exact scripts and sequences that we're using for both email and SMS for our webinar clients right now, I'll have that in the description for you to check out and implement for yourself on your upcoming webinars. So there you have it. Here's 4 ways that you can drastically improve your show rates. You got ad account optimization, you got your webinar frequency, you got your email deliverability best practices, you have your SMS marketing best practices. And when these all work together, your attendance becomes predictable. And when your attendance becomes predictable, your revenue becomes scalable. These are really simple service level concepts that we're using for our clients right now to help them scale to $1 million a month and beyond with just webinar funnels. And so if there's any other questions that you want to see me cover in a later video, just drop them into the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.